Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Sherrone Moore in Michigan coming off the bye week, hosting Wisconsin. Not only some really fun storylines that we're going to see take place on the football field Saturday afternoon, a monster opportunity on the recruiting trail to really get things going down the stretch in 2026. Now, there's a couple of things that really excite me for Michigan on the recruiting trail over the next couple of months. Number one, we all remember how Michigan closed the 2025 cycle out. And look, it wasn't just Bryce Underwood. That's all the media wanted to talk about. Michigan caught absolute fire late in the process last year in the 2025 class. You're hoping for a repeat performance. The other thing that fires me up is when you win football games and you do it with young talent, that means something to these kids at the high school ranks. They're looking at the programs they want to go play ball for. And look, I'm not ignorant to the fact that rev share, NIL, it all matters when you're recruiting these kids out of the high school ranks. But these kids want to play early. In Michigan showing, hey, we're winning football games and we're doing it with a lot of true freshmen. To me, that matters because it's not only Bryce Underwood. Jaden Sanders, the boundary cornerback spot. It's Elijah Dotson. It's Shamari Earls. It's Nate Marshall. It's Andrew Marsh. Andrew Babaloa probably plays a decent amount of football for Michigan as a true freshman had he not gotten hurt in fall camp. So Michigan's winning football games. They're doing it with true freshmen. That makes Michigan really damn attractive to a lot of these flip targets late in the process in 2026. Now, we're going to have a multitude. These are my favorite conversations to have, like these nitty gritty roster building conversations. We're going to start with the names that will be on campus for Michigan this weekend. But I also want to do a little bit of a bigger picture conversation. Hey, where's it going for Michigan on the recruiting trail in 2026? Now, before we get into it, as always, the Michigan fans, appreciate you guys. As a Michigan fan myself, these conversations continue to be so fun for me. And so the Michigan fans, many of y'all been rocking with the boys on Saturdays in the fall. Many of y'all, rock with the boys in the summer when we're breaking down commitments, rocking with the boys in the spring and in the winter as well. This type of stuff is 12 months out of the year. And the amount of Michigan fans that rock with the boys all year long, it's amazing. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it now. Let's start with three names that will be on campus this weekend, all three of which are at the off-ball linebacker position, which is arguably the most important position for Michigan closing out 2026, or at least one of. We're going to start with one of my favorite names in all of 2026. And the Michigan fans, we talked about this kid a ton back in the summer. That's Nick Abrams. Now, he committed to Georgia in the summer. It sounded like Michigan probably finished second in that recruitment. Getting him back on campus this weekend, and it sounds real. You kind of have to distinguish between the visits that are kind of fake and there's not much there, and the visits where it's a little bit more real. This one seems real. Now, why do I love Nick Abrams as a football player? He is clearly the type of linebacker that Michigan has valued at the high school ranks. Long, hyper athletic, and that can play in space. I'm looking at Nick Abrams, hey, 6'2", 220. This kid flies around the football field. He also happens to have 35-inch arms. He also happens to have the ability to come off the edge and be a dynamic pass rusher as well, kind of like what Jayshon Barham has done for Michigan over the last couple of weeks. There are a ton of different ways that you can use Nick Abrams to impact a football game. He fits exactly what Michigan wants in the off-ball backer room. This one would be dynamite to me. One of my favorite linebackers in 2026. Now, another name that is very interesting to monitor, Braylon Hodge. This kid's recruitment's exploded over the last couple of months. Now, he committed to Michigan State back in the summer. Take a look at who's going after him now. Michigan, Oregon. I believe Texas is getting involved as well. A lot of teams that want to get involved with Braylon Hodge. Now, why is that? He's 6'3", 215 pounds, very similar to Nick Abrams. He is long, he's leaner, right? We got to put on a little bit more weight. Kind of reminds you a little bit of Cole Sullivan. When Cole Sullivan came to Michigan, he was 6'3", 205 pounds. And we knew it was going to take a year for him to fill out that frame, but we also thought he could be a really damn good football player. That's exactly what you've seen. Braylon Hodge, very similar. Like go gadget kind of guy. 6'3", extremely long, really, really athletic. Probably needs a year to put on the adequate weight. But man, you're betting on this cat every single day of the week. You'll notice a trend as we're talking about the linebacker targets for Michigan. They're really long, they're really athletic. And for Braylon Hodge, going and watching the beginning parts of his senior year, really good instincts too, really quick to diagnose what's happening, fire downhill and find the ball carrier. Nick Abrams, Braylon Hodge, you land one of these two cats, feel good about what that linebacker class looks like in 2026. Now, the last linebacker on campus, Caden Ketchens from Mississippi, is committed to Liberty. With all due respect to Caden, I would think this is a little bit more of a backup plan. I think Nick Abrams and Braylon Hodge are the two names that Michigan really wants to go after. If we miss on both, maybe a circle back to Caden Ketchens. Kind of similar rank to Chase Taylor when he committed to Michigan last cycle. And Chase Taylor sounds like he's going to be a good ball player for Michigan over the next couple of years. And you take a look at the class commitments in general. You have one linebacker currently committed. You got 3 linebackers that are going to be on campus right now. I'll say this real quick. You probably want one more linebacker in the cycle, especially with your only other linebacker commitment being from Markel Dabney, who he's going to transition. He plays safety in high school. He's going to be transitioning to that off-ball linebacker position. You probably want one more, but I don't think it's super important because I'm looking at the young linebacker room and say, all right, Cole Sullivan, he's going to be only going into year 3 next year. It sounds like Michigan really does like both Chase Taylor and Nate Owusu-Boateng. You feel, and Troy Bowles is a guy that's probably going to play a decent amount for Michigan over the next couple of years as well. So even though you're going to lose Ernest Hausman, you're going to lose a guy like Jay Sean Barham who don't even play linebacker anymore, you still feel good about what your linebacker room looks like over the next couple of years. Now, the next position that I think we need to talk about, that boundary cornerback spot, of which Michigan has nobody committed with Dorian Barney flipping his commitment to Ole Miss. On paper, that's alarm bells, right? You look at it and say, well, Jaden Sanders is going to be really good. Shamari Earls is going to be really good. Elijah Dotson. You got 3 true freshmen that are on this football team right now that Michigan seemingly feels really dang good about. So it's not like it's a massive panic situation, but at the same time, you still want to add a couple of 2 young bodies to this group. Michigan's going after a couple of high-profile guys. The way I look at it, and this is one of the things that for us Michigan fans, it's been so fun to monitor, is when Michigan really wants a guy, they normally go out and get that guy. And so who's it going to be? Havon Finney, who's currently committed to LSU. I'll say this. If Brian Kelly does not figure out the LSU offense, like there's a chance Brian Kelly ain't coaching this football team in 2026. So we'll see what happens with the commitment of Havon Finney. Devon Benjamin, this was a guy that Michigan really did like, and I could certainly see them pushing their chips in to go out and land. Kerry Adams committed to Notre Dame. We'll see how that turns out. Jamarian Vincent, another Baylor cat, really intriguing cornerback from the state of Texas. And then Danny Oda, Michigan just offered him a couple of days ago. All of these guys, blue chip caliber guys. In fact, most of these guys, top 200 nationally ranked guys. We'll see which one Michigan decides to really push their chips in to go out and get. You have a feeling it's going to be 1 or 2. My personal preference, Devon Benjamin. I think Devon Benjamin rocks. Now, he might not have the crazy length that a guy like Havon Finney has or a guy like Kerry Adams has. The thing I love most about Devon Benjamin, he's very easy to get on the football field. You can grab Devon Benjamin, bring him into this program and say, oh, you can't start over Jaden Sanders. You can't start over a guy like Elijah Dotson or Shamari Earls. That's okay. You can play nickel. You can also play safety. You can provide value at the boundary cornerback spot too. Versatility is massive for Lamar Morgan. He wants guys that can do all sorts of different things. Devon Benjamin is that guy. And he can play all 5 positions in the back end of Michigan secondary. That's my personal preference because he's a really good football player and he's really versatile. I'd be happy with all of them because I think they're all really quality players. Now, the last position I want to talk about really quick, probably the wide receiver spot, where here's my, and you hear some buzz around Michigan, maybe circling back on some names. I'd rather save the resources of going out and getting a high profile freshman and allocate those resources to the transfer portal. Because you're going to have Bryce Underwood going into year 2 in 2026. Bryce Underwood has shown us he's a difference maker. High level throws. He's a guy you can win a national championship with. There's no question about it. One of the things that's holding Michigan back, I think we all know it, your pass catchers, right? And Donovan McCulley is going to be going to the NFL after this year. I want immediate impact from wide receivers. Now, that's not saying that a freshman can't come in and have an immediate impact, but you have better odds of having that immediate impact if you go use those resources in the portal. So if I'm Michigan and I'm looking at how I want my roster to look, I like the young names that you have in the wide receiver room. Andrew Marsh, Jamar Brody, you're bringing in 3 guys that we like a lot. You're good with that. In 2026, I'd rather have a portal guy that we know can come in and be a legitimate wide receiver one at the highest level of the sport. If I have a finite amount of resources, that's where I'm putting my resources as opposed to grabbing one more freshman in the class. We'll see how Michigan decides to handle it. I certainly wouldn't be opposed to go and make a run at a young, talented wide receiver as well. You like the bones of this class a lot. You have hit on some of your biggest names, a guy like Malik Ali, guy like Savion Hyder. There are just a couple of other positions and names that you want to finish this class out. And again, what I'll say is last year, Michigan had the ace up their sleeve, had a couple of aces up their sleeves to finish out 2025. You have a feeling that they probably have some aces up their sleeves as well. And again, I think this is a really attractive program for these kids to play from, or play to, play for, probably the best way to put that. Number one, because Michigan with Bryce Underwood, you're going to be competing at a very high level over the next couple of years. You're going to have a chance to win Big Ten championships, play in college football games, and win national championships. Number two, Michigan's development. Like I still will bang the table for it. Not many programs are developing players to the NFL better than Michigan. Lastly, you come to Michigan, you have the opportunity to play as a freshman. It's just that's what Michigan has shown you in 2025. We'll close it out there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. Been a blast talking this football team on the field, on the recruiting trail. Going to be a lot of fun talking this football team on the field and on the recruiting trail over the next couple of weeks. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.